When the dog suddenly broke free that afternoon, every officer's hand froze in terror. Men shouted, someone reached for a rope. Someone yelled, grab the dog! But no one moved. Everyone knew the truth. No one could tame this dog. Not trainers, not officers, not even his former K9 handler. Nobody could get within 10 feet of him without risking their life. Men who had spent their whole lives around dangerous animals stood frozen, gripping the wooden fence. Because in the middle of the open yard stood a police dog, once labeled untrainable, a beast that had sent grown officers to the hospital. He had attacked every handler, broken through steel kennels, and shattered training records. In all the worst ways, this wasn't just any dog. They called him Beast, the most dangerous police dog ever taken off duty. For months, nobody could touch him. Nobody could calm him. Nobody could tame him. But today, something impossible was about to happen. A tiny girl, no more than 6, walked straight toward him. Get her out of there, someone shouted. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She simply took one calm step forward, and then another. The dog lunged. Men yelled in panic. Then the little girl did something shocking, something no one expected, in just 3 seconds. And the dog that terrified grown men did something no one could explain. Stay with me, because what this little girl did next will leave you absolutely speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The dust over the ranch always settled slowly in the mornings, drifting lazily over the wooden fences and the wide open fields. But today, it hung in the air like a warning. The men leaning against the fence weren't talking, weren't laughing, weren't even moving. Their eyes were fixed on the massive German shepherd pacing inside the training pen, his claws scraping the ground, his breath sharp, his body tense like a coiled spring ready to snap. His name was Rex, a name once spoken with pride throughout the police K9 unit, now whispered with fear across the ranch. Rex wasn't just any dog. He was the most infamous police K9 the department had ever trained. He had passed every obstacle, every obedience test, every field scenario, until everything changed. A single mission had shattered him, turning discipline into unpredictability, loyalty into explosive aggression. 3 trainers had failed to control him. 2 officers had been bitten. 1 handler had nearly been hospitalized. After that, the department made a painful decision. Rex was unfit for duty, but putting him down sparked arguments, emails, and heated meetings. Some believed he deserved another chance. Others insisted he was too dangerous to save. Finally, the compromise was made. Rex would be sent miles away to a ranch specializing in impossible cases, a place where wild horses, rogue cattle, and untamable dogs were given their final shot at redemption. But the men here quickly realized, Rex wasn't like the others. He wasn't wild. He wasn't feral. He was haunted. Every sudden noise made him snap around violently. Every shadow made him growl. Every command made him recoil or attack as if the very air around him was filled with ghosts only he could see. Stay back, one ranch hand warned, gripping the fence with white knuckles as Rex slammed against the gate with a furious bark. This one ain't fixable. The head trainer, a grizzled man with a thick beard and sunburned neck, shook his head slowly. Every animal's fixable, he muttered, though even he didn't sound convinced. Another rancher spat into the dirt. Not this one. That's a police dog gone bad. The words stung, hanging heavy in the air. Rex wasn't a monster. He wasn't evil. He was broken. And nobody, not the department, not the trainers, not the ranch hands, believed anyone could put the pieces back together. Nobody, until the day a little girl stepped onto the ranch. The morning sun stretched across the ranch as a dusty pickup truck rumbled toward the front gate. The ranch hands barely paid attention. New workers came and went all the time. But the moment the truck door opened, every man at the fence did a double take. A little girl, no older than 6, hopped out. Her blonde ponytail bounced behind her, a tiny backpack strapped across her shoulders, far too clean for a place coated in dirt and danger. Her boots were small, her steps confident, and her bright blue eyes scanned the ranch with the calm curiosity of someone entering a playground. Not a rehabilitation center where wild animals were known to lash out. Behind her stepped her father, Ethan, a quiet, hard-working man who had recently taken a ranch job to earn steady pay. He placed a gentle hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Stay close, Lily," he murmured. But Lily wasn't looking at him. She was staring straight ahead, toward the fenced pen where Rex paced like a storm trapped in a cage. Ranchers exchanged uneasy glances. "What's a kid doing here? Ethan should know better. This place ain't safe for children." Yet Lily didn't seem bothered. As they walked past the stables and equipment sheds, she kept glancing toward Rex's enclosure, her face unreadable. Not fear, not excitement, something else. Something that made one of the ranchers shift uncomfortably. When they reached the main office, the head trainer stepped out. "Ethan," he said gruffly, "didn't know you were bringing family." Ethan winced. "Couldn't leave her alone at home today. I'll keep her away from the pens. She won't be any trouble." But Rex had already noticed her. From across the yard, his head snapped toward the truck. His growl deepened. His pacing faltered. His ears pulled forward. Dust puffed beneath his paws as he froze, staring at the tiny girl standing beside the office steps. Lily stopped too. Their eyes met across the wide dirt arena. A strange stillness settled over the ranch, as if the wind itself held its breath. The ranch hands braced instinctively. Rex never paused for anything. Not for men, not for commands, not for food. But he was frozen now, utterly still, watching that small girl with frightening intensity. Ethan hurried Lily inside, unaware of the scene outside. But the ranchers couldn't stop whispering. "Why's he looking at her like that? Does he know her? That dog doesn't know anyone. He hates everyone." Yet the truth was already unfolding. Rex didn't hate her. He wasn't growling. He wasn't pacing. For the first time since arriving at the ranch, Rex was calm, and none of the men could understand why. The afternoon heat settled thick over the ranch, turning the dirt into a fine red dust that clung to boots, fences, and the sweat on every man's neck. The ranch hands had circled around Rex's pen for his daily behavioral test. Nothing special, just a routine drill the head trainer insisted on. But nothing about Rex was ever routine. Inside the enclosure, the German shepherd tore back and forth like a bolt of living thunder. His paws churned clouds of dust, his muscles rippling, his teeth flashing each time he snapped at the air. Every man leaned cautiously against the wooden fence, careful to stay inches beyond his explosive reach. "Easy, boy. Settle down," one trainer muttered. Rex responded with a vicious snarl that made the man jerk back. Nobody could tame him. Everybody knew it. But today, something else was about to happen, something no one could have guessed. Across the yard, Ethan walked out of the office, wiping sweat from his forehead. Beside him, tiny Lily bounced lightly on her feet, taking in the scene with the curiosity only a child could hold. She wasn't afraid of the shouting men, or the rattling fences, or the snarling dog that sent grown adults 2 steps back every few seconds. Her eyes went straight to Rex. She lifted her little hand and pointed. "Daddy, doggy." Ethan tensed immediately. "Stay here," he said quickly. "Don't move from this spot, okay, Lily?" But she wasn't listening. The same strange calm from the morning washed over her face, like she was watching something no one else could see. And before Ethan could stop her, Lily slipped from his reach and began walking, small step after small step, straight toward the training arena. "Lily!" Ethan shouted, panic flooding his voice. Head snapped toward the child. "And Rex!" Rex turned like a hurricane changing direction. His eyes locked onto the girl. The ranchers froze. Every man went silent. Then it happened, fast and violent. Rex charged. Dust erupted behind him. The ground shook under his weight. His teeth flashed white in the sun. His growl tore across the yard like thunder, ripping the sky open. "Grab him!" one man screamed. "Cut him off! Ethan, get your kid!" But nobody moved quickly enough. Rex was too fast, far too fast. He ripped across the enclosure, hit the edge of the fence, and before anyone could blink, the gate latch slipped loose from the earlier struggle. The gate flew open. Rex was free, and he was running straight at Lily. Ethan sprinted, but desperation had slowed his legs. Fear had taken the strength out of every rancher's knees. They all watched helplessly as the wild police dog barreled toward the tiny girl. Dust exploding beneath him, jaws wide, legs stretching like he was built for this one single, deadly moment. But Lily didn't run. She didn't scream. She didn't even blink. She simply kept walking forward with her tiny backpack bouncing behind her, her blonde ponytail swaying gently in the warm wind, as if she were approaching a friendly farm dog. Not a creature every adult there believed was seconds away from tearing her apart. "Lily!" Ethan's voice cracked with terror. Just as Rex lunged, just as every rancher flinched, just as the dust clouds swallowed the two of them. Lily did something shocking. She lifted her small hand, a single soft gesture, a motion that stopped Rex mid-lunge so abruptly his paws skidded trenches into the dirt. The furious bark caught in his throat. His growl died instantly. His chest heaved. His eyes, wild moments ago, softened, as if he suddenly recognized something in her face. The ranchers stared, speechless. Ethan staggered to a halt. Rex, the uncontrollable, dangerous, untrainable police dog, had frozen inches from a little girl's fingertips. And then, impossibly, he lowered his head. A stunned silence fell over the ranch, so heavy and absolute that even the wind seemed afraid to move. The dust settled slowly around Rex and the little girl, drifting like red mist between them. Every ranch hand stood frozen behind the fence, eyes wide, mouths half open, their bodies locked in disbelief. Rex wasn't growling. He wasn't snarling. He wasn't lunging. He was calm. The same dog who attacked trainers, snapped at ropes, and smashed against fences now stood perfectly still before a 6-year-old girl, his ears tilted forward, his head lowered as if waiting for her next gesture. One man whispered, "What did she do?" Another shook his head. "Nothing. She just lifted her hand." "That's not possible," the head trainer muttered, gripping the fence with both hands. "This dog doesn't respond to signals. He doesn't respond to anything." Lily took one small step forward. Rex didn't move, only breathed, watching her with an intensity none of the men had ever seen from him. Not aggression, not fear, something deeper, something none of them understood. Ethan rushed in, heart pounding so hard he thought his chest would split. He scooped Lily into his arms and backed away, legs trembling. "Don't you ever walk up to a dog like that again," he whispered harshly, voice cracking. But Lily only rested her head against his shoulder and murmured, "Doggy wasn't bad." The trainers exchanged uneasy glances. Maybe he was tired. Maybe she startled him. "No," the head trainer said firmly. "That dog wasn't tired, and nothing about him said startled. He stopped, like she stopped him." Ethan's jaw clenched. He kissed the top of Lily's head and hurried away from the pen, his arms tightening protectively around her. Meanwhile, Rex began pacing again, but this time it wasn't violent or frantic. His path followed the fence in slow, rhythmic steps, his eyes never leaving the direction Lily had been carried. A ranch hand swallowed hard. "He's looking for her." "Why her?" someone whispered. "What's so special about that kid?" The head trainer didn't answer. He couldn't, because deep down he knew something was happening, something none of them were trained to understand. Rex, the dog nobody could tame, had chosen someone, and that someone was a little girl. For the rest of the afternoon, the ranch buzzed with restless whispers. Men who had worked with wild stallions, unpredictable bulls, and aggressive rescue dogs kept replaying the moment in their minds. The tiny girl standing firm, the raging dog freezing midair. It didn't make sense. It defied training, instinct, and nature. But to Lily, it was the most natural thing in the world. The next morning, Ethan tried to keep her close, steering her toward the barn where he was assigned to stack hay bales. "Stay right here," he said firmly, "and don't go near the pens." But ranches are big, barns are loud, and children wander. By the time Ethan realized she was gone, Lily was already halfway across the yard, her little shoes kicking up dust as she headed straight toward Rex's pen. Inside the enclosure, Rex was pacing again, but not with the wild, frantic energy he'd shown before. His steps were slower, restless, like someone searching for something they'd lost. When his ears twitched and he caught sight of Lily approaching, he stopped so abruptly that dirt slid beneath his paws. Lily pressed both tiny hands against the fence. Rex moved toward her, not lunging, not snarling, but walking slowly, cautiously, tail lowered, head tilted, with a strange, almost hopeful expression. A rancher nearly dropped his coffee. "He's going to her, on purpose." "No way," another whispered. Lily didn't flinch as Rex approached. She waited patiently until his nose touched the metal bars. Then she giggled, a soft, innocent sound that didn't match the fear in every adult's chest. "Hi, doggy," she whispered. Rex exhaled through his nose, a warm breath brushing across her fingers. He didn't snap. He didn't bark. He simply pressed closer, eyes softening, a look none of the men had ever witnessed from him. "Is she petting him?" one rancher choked. "Don't let her!" another shouted, but the head trainer raised a hand sharply, halting everyone. "Wait." Lily slid her hand through a gap in the fence and gently placed it on Rex's cheek. The dog closed his eyes as if savoring a long-forgotten comfort. No growl, no tension, no rage, only stillness. Ethan came sprinting across the yard, breathless. "Lily," he called, panic strangling his voice. But when he saw the scene, his daughter calmly stroking the most dangerous dog on the ranch, his words died in his throat. Rex opened his eyes and looked at Ethan. He didn't snarl. He simply stepped back, allowing Lily's hand to fall away, almost respectfully, as if acknowledging that she belonged to someone who loved her. The head trainer whispered, "That girl, she's the only one he trusts." Another man nodded. "It's like she's the key to whatever's broken inside him." But nobody understood why. Nobody knew the buried memory that flickered behind Rex's eyes. Nobody knew the echo of a child he once tried to save. Nobody knew the bond already forming. A fragile, mysterious connection between a shattered police dog and a fearless little girl. Long after the ranch hands finished whispering about Lily and Rex, long after Ethan carried his daughter home with a mixture of fear and awe, Rex lay in the corner of his enclosure, restless. His breathing was uneven, his ears flicking at sounds no one else could hear. The sun had dipped low, casting long shadows across the ranch, and every shadow seemed to pull him backward into a place he desperately wished he could forget. It began with a distant echo, a siren, a child's cry, a handler shouting his name. Then the memories flooded back. Rex had once been the pride of the K9 unit, the fastest, most obedient German shepherd they had ever trained. His partner, Officer Cole Ramirez, treated him like a brother. They worked seamlessly, drug busts, rescues, building searches. Rex trusted Cole, and Cole trusted Rex with his life. But everything changed on a rainy evening 2 years ago. The call came in just after dusk. A kidnapping. A child held hostage. The suspect had barricaded himself inside a rundown apartment building. Reports said he was unstable, armed, and growing desperate by the minute. When Cole arrived with Rex, the scene was chaos. Officers setting up barricades, a negotiator shouting through a megaphone, thunder rolling in the distance. Inside the dark apartment, Rex caught the scent first, a faint trace of fear, a child's fear. Cole whispered, "Easy, boy. We'll find them." The door splintered open. The world exploded. The suspect grabbed the girl, no older than 6, and held her in front of him like a shield. She screamed, her tiny voice cracking with terror. Cole shouted demands, trying to calm the man, but desperation made him reckless. Then came the breaking moment. The man raised his gun toward the child. Cole shouted the command, "Rex, go!" The German shepherd launched like a rocket. Everything that followed blurred into chaos. The gun fired. The girl fell. The suspect crashed to the floor beneath Rex's weight. Cole lunged in, shouting for backup. But when Rex turned toward the girl, he saw the blood, saw her small body trembling, saw her terrified eyes looking at him, pleading without words. And something inside Rex shattered. Officers rushed in. Medics pushed past. The suspect was taken into custody. The girl survived, but her panicked cries, her shaking hands, Her whisper of, "Don't let the dog near me," carved themselves into Rex's memory with a pain deeper than any wound. He hadn't hurt her. He had saved her. But the fear in her eyes broke him. After that mission, Rex changed. Commands confused him. Loud noises sent him into panic. Shadows made him lash out. And every time he saw a small child, every time he heard that high, trembling voice, his mind dragged him back to that room, that moment, that unbearable memory of the girl he couldn't comfort. The department tried retraining him, tried medication, tried everything. Nothing worked. Rex wasn't dangerous by nature. He was traumatized, haunted, carrying a wound no one understood, because no one had ever looked past the aggression to see the fear buried beneath. But here, on the ranch, in the quiet moments between the dust and the wind, Rex replayed the memory again and again until a new image flashed over it. Lily's face, her calm eyes, her tiny hand lifted gently, her voice, soft, steady, unafraid. She didn't flinch when he charged. She didn't tremble like the girl in the apartment. She didn't see a monster. She saw him. For the first time since that terrible night, the memories loosened their grip. The darkness faded just enough for Rex to breathe. Because Lily didn't remind him of fear. She reminded him of hope. Ethan had always known the ranch was rough, unpredictable, and not a place for a child. But after seeing Lily stand inches from the most dangerous dog on the property, his heart hadn't stopped pounding. All night the image replayed in his mind. Rex lunging, Lily raising a hand, the impossible calm that followed. The next morning he marched straight to the head trainer's office, jaw tight, worry stiffening every step. "I need to know what's going on with that dog," he demanded. The trainer didn't answer right away. He closed the door, lowered his voice, and slid a thin file across the desk. "You didn't hear this from me," he muttered, "but if your daughter is going to be anywhere near that animal, you deserve to know the truth." Ethan hesitated, then opened the file. Rex's police records stared back at him. Pages of glowing reports followed by a sudden, sharp turn. Aggression, failed evaluations, emotional instability, violent responses to triggers. The words hit Ethan like blows to the chest. "What happened to him?" Ethan asked quietly. The trainer leaned back, arms folded. "A mission went wrong. A little girl was involved, nearly died." His voice softened. "They say Rex changed after that. They couldn't fix him." Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. "So they sent him here to be rehabilitated?" The trainer's silence was answer enough. Ethan slammed the file shut. "So you're telling me my daughter was standing in front of a dog they almost put down?" "Ethan," the trainer said carefully, "that girl is the only thing that dog responds to. Look outside." Ethan turned to the window. Rex was pacing his enclosure, but not with anger. His movements were restless, searching, his gaze repeatedly drifting toward the barn where Lily stood, helping a ranch hand fill water buckets. "He's looking for her," Ethan whispered. The trainer nodded. "That dog should have attacked yesterday. Instead, he listened to your daughter. That's not training. That's something deeper." Ethan swallowed hard, torn between fear and awe. Lily was just a child, sweet, innocent, fragile. And yet something inside her had reached into the broken parts of Rex's soul and soothed them. But the thought gripped him with equal force. If Lily was the only one who could calm Rex, then she was also the only one in danger if anything went wrong. Ethan closed his eyes, exhaling shakily. He had to protect his daughter. He had to keep her safe. But in his heart, he already knew. Lily wasn't going to stay away from Rex, and Rex wasn't going to stay away from her. The ranch's training arena felt different that morning. The sky was clear, the air crisp, but tension rolled across the yard like a storm about to break. Ranch hands gathered along the fence, whispering nervously. They all knew what today was. The head trainer, Grant, had decided it was time to re-establish control over Rex. "This dog needs structure," Grant announced loudly as he strapped on protective sleeves. "He needs authority. He can't just pick a child and decide he listens only to her." The men nodded, though uneasily. Everyone had seen what happened the last time someone tried to force discipline onto Rex. But Grant wasn't just any trainer. He had tamed horses that broke bones, bulls that shattered gates. He believed experience could conquer anything. Even Rex. Rex stood inside the arena, shoulders stiff, ears back, eyes locked on Grant. His body tensed with each step the trainer took. Grant raised his voice. "Sit!" Rex didn't move. Grant stepped closer. "Sit!" Rex growled, deep in warning. The ranchers braced instinctively. The air crackled with danger. One wrong move and Grant would be another name, added to Rex's list of injuries. "Back away, Grant!" someone yelled. But Grant held his ground, pride tightening his jaw. No, he will obey. He must obey. He lifted the training baton, not to hit, but to signal authority. Rex exploded. He lunged with a snarl that shook the boards of the arena. Grant jumped back, stumbling into the dirt as Rex's claws tore trenches inches from his boots. The ranch hands shouted, scrambling for the gate, some grabbing poles, others reaching for ropes. "Contain him! Grant, move!" Rex's fury intensified, ears flat, teeth bared, tail rigid. He wasn't unpredictable now. He was in full protective mode, defending himself from a threat he believed was real. Grant scrambled backward, breath ragged, desperately trying to regain control. "Rex, stand down!" But Rex only pressed forward, ready to attack. Then, a tiny voice pierced the chaos. "Rex, no!" The commotion froze. Lily stood at the entrance of the arena, her backpack slipping off one shoulder, her eyes wide but fearless. Rex halted mid-snarl. His chest heaved, his claws dug into the dirt. But he didn't advance another inch. The ranch hands froze in disbelief. Grant, still on the ground, stared at the little girl like she'd appeared from another world. Lily stepped closer, slow and steady. "It's okay," she whispered. "No one is hurting you." Rex's ears lifted. His tail softened. His growl faded into a low whimper. He turned away from Grant and walked straight to Lily. The huge, wild, untamable police dog lowered his head beside her leg, pressing his muzzle into her tiny hand like a child seeking comfort. Grant pushed himself to his feet, shaken. This isn't training," he muttered. "This is impossible." One rancher swallowed hard. "He listens to her like she's his handler." Grant's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in realization. "That child," he whispered, "is the only one who can reach him." While the rest of the ranch buzzed with shock, disbelief, and quiet arguments about what they had just witnessed, one man stood apart from the group, leaning against the far fence, hat pulled low, eyes narrowed in a way that wasn't fear, but memory. His name was Caleb, a ranch hand who rarely spoke and never interfered in anyone's business. Most men at the ranch barely noticed him. But today, Caleb wasn't looking at Grant or Lily or Ethan. He was staring at Rex. Not with confusion like the others. Not with admiration. Not even with fear, but with recognition. Rex paced slowly inside the arena, pressing himself gently against Lily's side, occasionally nudging her hand as if making sure she was still there. Lily laughed softly, completely unaware of the dozens of stunned adults staring at her like she had performed a miracle. Caleb's jaw tightened. He had seen this before. As the ranch hands dispersed to take a break and Grant stormed back to his office, muttering about impossible dogs and impossible children, Caleb stayed where he was, eyes fixed on the girl and the German shepherd beside her. Ethan noticed the silent man staring. "Something wrong?" he asked cautiously. Caleb didn't answer at first. His gaze remained locked on Rex, studying the dog's posture, the way he moved, the softness in his eyes, the same softness he had witnessed years ago on a very different day. Finally he spoke, his voice low and gravelly. "That dog isn't dangerous the way you think." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" Caleb pushed off the fence, walking closer, the brim of his hat casting a shadow over his weathered face. "I've seen a dog look at a child like that before." Ethan raised a brow. "Where?" Caleb's eyes darkened with something heavy. Guilt, maybe grief. In the city, he said quietly. A police operation gone bad. A kid was involved. Dog never recovered. Ethan froze. You were there? He asked. Caleb nodded once. Yeah, and that. He pointed toward Rex, who now sat protectively beside Lily, watching her draw shapes in the dirt. That is the same look he had back then, like he's guarding something precious, something he lost. Ethan felt his stomach twist as Caleb's final words sank in. That little girl didn't just calm him. She woke a memory he's been carrying for years. The next morning, the ranch felt different, tense, unsettled, as if every wooden post and every grain of dust understood something important was about to unfold. Word had spread overnight. The evaluation team from the county was coming. Their job was simple and brutal. Assess Rex, determine if he was salvageable, or sign the papers that would end his story forever. Grant paced across the yard, barking orders at the ranch hands, trying to hide the nerves tightening his jaw. Make sure the arena is clear. Secure the gates twice. No mistakes today. His voice cracked sharper than usual. Ethan kept Lily close, his hand gripping hers a little too tightly. She looked up at him, sensing the worry he tried to bury. Daddy, Rex is sad, she whispered. He swallowed hard. She wasn't wrong. Inside his enclosure, Rex wasn't pacing. He wasn't barking. He wasn't snapping at shadows. He was sitting, still, silent, ears tilted toward Lily, eyes following her every step. He understood something was happening. He could feel the shift, and he was afraid, not of the trainers, not of the test, but of losing the one person who saw him as more than a monster. The evaluation officials arrived in a white truck, 3 men in uniforms, carrying clipboards, protective gear, and calm, hardened expressions. They had seen hundreds of dogs like Rex, broken animals, unpredictable animals. Animals who rarely made it past this stage. Grant greeted them stiffly. This is Rex, he said, gesturing to the large, tense shepherd. One evaluator raised an eyebrow. This is the one from the Ramirez case? The kid hostage incident? Caleb, standing nearby, stiffened, but said nothing. Proceed, the leader ordered. Ranch hands secured the arena, slamming gates shut, locking chains and forming a wide circle along the fence. Ethan lifted Lily into his arms, stepping back, far back. Rex was led inside the arena on a heavy chain. The moment Grant reached for a command gesture, Rex erupted. His muscles tightened. His teeth flashed. He lunged so hard that the evaluator holding the chain was yanked forward. That's one strike, the evaluator muttered, marking his clipboard. Grant tried again. Rex, sit! Rex growled, snarled, snapped at the air, panic and trauma mixing into an uncontrollable storm. That's 2. The men along the fence exchanged grim looks. They all knew what 3 meant. Ethan felt Lily squirm in his arms. Daddy, he's scared, she whispered. I know, Ethan murmured, voice shaking. I know, sweetheart. Rex lunged again, chain rattling, breath ragged, eyes darting around the arena as if surrounded by ghosts only he could see. That's... Before the evaluator could finish the sentence, Lily slipped out of Ethan's arms and ducked under the fence. Lily! Ethan shouted, stumbling forward. But she was already running across the arena, tiny boots pounding softly in the dirt, her blonde ponytail bouncing with each determined step. The evaluators froze. Grant froze. Ethan froze. Rex froze. He stopped mid-lunge, claws digging into the ground, chest heaving, eyes locked on the little girl who walked straight into the center of the chaos. Rex, she whispered, barely audible. He lowered his head. The evaluators exchanged looks of disbelief. Lily approached him slowly and placed one small hand on his cheek. Just like before. Rex melted. His body relaxed. His breathing steadied. His wild eyes softened into something gentle, something broken, something hopeful. He sat down. Perfectly immediately, his posture obedient and calm in a way Grant had never achieved, not even once. One evaluator whispered, That wasn't training. Another nodded. That was trust. The clipboard slowly lowered. If this child can handle him, the lead evaluator said quietly, then this dog isn't dangerous. He's traumatized, and she's the only one who can reach him. Grant looked at Lily like she was something out of a miracle story. Caleb nodded knowingly, sadness and recognition in his eyes. And Ethan? Ethan stared at his daughter as Rex rested his head against her knee. He realized something terrifying and beautiful all at once. Rex wasn't just listening to Lily, he was anchored to her, and without her, he would fall apart. When the evaluation ended, the officials walked away whispering among themselves, shaken by what they had witnessed. Grant stood speechless in the arena, staring at Rex as if seeing him for the first time. Ethan held Lily close, unsure whether he should praise her courage or scold her recklessness. And Rex sat calmly at Lily's side, his golden eyes following her every breath. But Caleb didn't join the others. He lingered at the far edge of the arena, hat pulled low, shoulders tense, eyes locked on the dog with a haunted familiarity. His silence had weight, an old, heavy kind of weight. And for the first time since he arrived at the ranch months ago, Ethan noticed the sadness in the man's posture, like someone carrying a truth he could no longer ignore. Later that afternoon, when the arena emptied and the ranch grew quiet, Caleb approached Ethan and Grant behind the stables. His steps were slow, deliberate. "We need to talk," he murmured. Grant crossed his arms. "About what?" Caleb glanced toward the pen where Rex sat, watching Lily draw shapes in the dirt with a stick. "About him, and about what you don't know." Ethan exchanged a wary glance with Grant. "Caleb," he said carefully, "you mentioned something yesterday. The city, a police operation. What did you mean?" Caleb hesitated, jaw tightening. "I wasn't supposed to be there," he began, voice low. "I was working construction near that apartment complex. We heard screaming, people running, then police swarmed in." Grant frowned. "You were at the Ramirez hostage case?" Caleb nodded slowly. "Yeah, I saw everything." Ethan leaned in, heart thudding. "What happened?" Caleb took off his hat, revealing tired, haunted eyes. The suspect had the little girl trapped. Everyone was panicking. The officer, Ramirez, shouted for the dog to go. And Rex, he moved like lightning. His voice cracked slightly. "He saved that child, took down the suspect in seconds." Grant sighed. "We know that part. The dog got aggressive after that. The department said he snapped." Caleb shook his head sharply. No, they got it wrong." Ethan stiffened. "Then what actually happened?" Caleb swallowed hard. "I was close enough to see her face. The little girl. When Rex took down the suspect, she fell. She wasn't hurt badly, just scared. But when she looked at Rex, she didn't see a hero. She saw the chaos, the noise, the blood. She screamed. And that scream..." He glanced toward Rex. "That scream broke him." Grant frowned. "You think that's all it was? A scream?" "No," Caleb whispered. "It was what came after. The department dragged Rex away like he'd done something wrong. Ramirez fought for him, but the higher-ups blamed the dog. The girl's parents blamed him too." He exhaled shakily. Rex didn't snap. He grieved. He felt like he failed to protect her, even though he saved her life. Ethan felt his breath catch. Grant's eyes widened. Caleb looked toward Lily, who now giggled softly as Rex nudged her hand. "That look she gives him," Caleb said quietly, "it's the same look the girl should have given him that night. Kindness, trust, safety." He swallowed. "Lily isn't just calming him. She's healing the wound that's been tearing him apart for years." The days that followed were unlike anything the ranch had ever seen, where men with years of experience had failed, a 6-year-old succeeded without even trying, and soon the ranch hands noticed a pattern. Wherever Lily went, Rex followed, not like a guard dog, but like a wounded soul finally finding something worth living for. Each morning, Lily would run toward the pen with her tiny boots kicking up puffs of dust. Before she could even call his name, Rex would already be at the gate, tail low, ears forward, eyes glowing with a softness no one had ever seen in him. The ranchers stopped pretending to look busy. Every one of them watched, breath held, as Lily slipped her hand through the fence to stroke Rex's cheek. Then the real change began. Lily started practicing commands, not because she was trained to, but because she had seen the trainers do it. Her tiny voice, gentle and steady, carried across the arena. Sit. Rex sat instantly. Stay. He froze like a statue. Come. He walked, not lunged, not charged, walked to her with perfect obedience. Grant stood nearby with his arms crossed, shaking his head in disbelief. She's not commanding him, he muttered. He's choosing to listen. When Lily laughed, Rex's ears perked up, his tail swishing like he was rediscovering joy itself. When she drew circles in the dirt, he watched like each line mattered more than the world around him. And when she tripped one afternoon, the ranch hands leaped toward her in panic, only to stop dead as Rex rushed forward, positioning his body beside her to keep her from falling again. Protective, gentle, attentive. A dog like that doesn't come around twice, Caleb murmured. Every evening, Ethan tried to lead Lily away, worried for her safety, but Rex always sat at the edge of the pen, watching her leave with a quiet, heartbreaking whine. Even the evaluators returned, stunned by the transformation. This isn't rehabilitation, one whispered. This is attachment. And it was true. The more time Lily spent with him, the more the broken shards inside Rex began to realign. The panic in his eyes softened. The nightmares faded. The trauma loosened its grip. Because Lily wasn't teaching him commands, she was teaching him to trust again. And every man on the ranch could see it clearly. Lily wasn't just healing the dog, she was rebuilding him. The ranch was unusually quiet that afternoon. The sky had dimmed into a dull gray, the wind low and uneasy, carrying the scent of an approaching storm. Most of the men were busy moving equipment into the storage barn before the weather turned ugly. Lily sat near the arena fence, humming as she braided flowers into Rex's collar. He lay beside her, calm as ever, eyes half closed in a peace he hadn't felt in years. But peace rarely lasted long around a ranch. Inside the large equipment shed, a loose latch rattled violently in the rising wind. A heavy metal gate, one used to pen wild bulls, hung crookedly. Grant noticed it too late. A sudden gust slammed the gate open with a deafening crash, and that thunderous sound spooked the young, unbroken stallion tied inside. The horse screamed, rearing high, eyes white with panic. Before anyone could react, it snapped the rope, bolted out of the shed, and thundered straight into the yard. Hooves pounding violently, eyes wild, nostrils flaring, straight toward Lily. "Lily, move!" Ethan shouted, dropping the feed bucket and sprinting across the yard. But Lily was frozen. The horse barreled closer, kicking up dirt in a frantic storm of hooves and terror. Ranch hands shouted, scattering, trying to cut the animal off. Too slow. Rex saw it first. His ears shot up, his muscles tensed, his eyes narrowed with sharp, unwavering focus. In the next heartbeat, he launched himself forward like a missile. "Rex, no!" someone yelled, thinking he was charging at Lily. But Rex wasn't charging her. He was charging for her. The stallion was seconds away, its hooves tearing the ground, when Rex hurled himself into its path with a force no one believed possible. He slammed against the horse's front legs, knocking it off balance just enough to redirect its charge. The horse stumbled sideways, crashing into a dirt mound instead of the little girl standing helpless in its path. Chaos erupted. Ranch hands rushed to grab the reins. Grant leaped onto the horse's side to steady it. Someone grabbed Lily and pulled her back. But Rex didn't move. He stood between Lily and the horse, body lowered, teeth bared, growl deep and protective, his stance screaming one message: "You will not touch her." Ethan collapsed beside Lily, pulling her into his arms, shaking. "Are you okay? Sweetheart, are you okay?" Lily nodded shakily, eyes wide. "Rex saved me," she whispered. Grant approached slowly, still breathless. "That dog just risked his life for her." Caleb nodded gravely. That's what he was trained to do, protect the innocent, even at the cost of himself. Rex finally relaxed, staggering slightly from the impact. Lily wriggled free of Ethan's arms and rushed to him. She wrapped her tiny arms around his neck. Rex pressed his head into her chest, whining softly, not in pain, but in relief. The men exchanged stunned looks. The wild, dangerous, untamable dog had done the one thing no training, no discipline, No evaluation had managed to prove. He wasn't aggressive. He was loyal, ferociously, unquestionably loyal. Grant exhaled shakily. We were wrong about him. Completely wrong. Ethan wiped his eyes, voice trembling. He didn't see a little girl. He saw someone he had to protect. Caleb nodded. Just like before. And as the storm clouds rolled in overhead, one truth settled over the ranch like a heavy, breathless revelation. Rex wasn't broken. He had just been waiting for the right person. The storm broke over the ranch that evening, soft rain settling the dust and cooling the air. The chaos of the afternoon still hung heavy in everyone's minds. The runaway stallion, the near tragedy, and the impossible sight of Rex throwing himself into danger without a moment of hesitation. But now, as the sky rumbled quietly, the ranch felt calmer, almost peaceful. Lily stood beneath the overhang of the barn, wrapped in Ethan's jacket, little boots soaked from the rain. Her eyes never left Rex's pen. Every few seconds, she leaned forward as if her tiny heart couldn't sit still. Inside, Rex lay curled in the straw, still exhausted but alert, ears twitching every time Lily shifted. He had refused to rest until she was in sight. Ethan finally knelt beside his daughter. His voice was gentle this time, not panicked, not scolding, just full of something warm and fragile. "Sweetheart," he whispered, "you know that dog. He saved your life today." Lily nodded. "Because I saved his," she said simply. The words hit Ethan like a truth he had tried not to face. She had saved Rex, over and over, in ways none of the trainers could. The dog wasn't dangerous. He was devoted. Grant approached from behind, hat in hand. "I spoke to the evaluation team," he announced. "After today, they're not labeling Rex aggressive anymore." He paused, glancing toward the pen. "They're calling him rehabilitated." Ethan exhaled a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "So he's staying here?" Grant shook his head. "No." Then he looked at Lily with a growing smile. "He's going wherever she goes." Lily's eyes widened. "Rex comes home?" Ethan froze. Rex perked up instantly, tail thumping against the straw. Grant nodded. "He's bonded to her. Keeping them apart would break him again." Lily rushed into the pen before anyone could stop her. Rex rose unsteadily and pushed his forehead into her chest, wrapping her in the gentlest embrace a dog his size could offer. Ethan watched the scene unfold. The smallest girl and the biggest, most misunderstood dog choosing each other without a moment's hesitation. In that quiet, rain-soft moment, he understood. This wasn't the end of Rex's story. It was the beginning. The next morning, the rain had washed the ranch clean. Sunlight spilled across the fields, turning every puddle into a tiny mirror. And in the middle of the yard, Lily walked proudly with her tiny backpack bouncing behind her, Rex trotting beside her. No fence, no chain, no fear, just trust. Rex stayed close, matching her small steps with gentle ones, constantly glancing at her as if making sure she was still safe. Every ranch hand paused in their work, watching the pair with softened eyes. The wild police dog, walking like a guardian shadow beside a little girl. Ethan approached slowly, still stunned by how natural they looked together. He crouched beside Lily. "You ready to take him home?" he asked quietly. Lily beamed. "He's my best friend." Rex pressed his head into her shoulder as if agreeing. Grant stepped forward, handing Ethan a small folder. "His papers are signed. Rex is officially hers now." He smiled, a rare, proud smile. That dog wasn't broken. He was waiting for the person who could see past his fear. Caleb tipped his hat, eyes misty. "Some souls," he murmured, "aren't meant to be trained. They're meant to be understood." Ethan nodded, lifting Lily into his arms while Rex circled their legs protectively. For the first time since the day Rex lost his place in the world, he had a home again. Not a pen, not a unit, a home. Lily leaned down and kissed the top of Rex's head. "You're safe now," she whispered, and Rex, who once trembled at memories of sirens and screams, closed his eyes, letting her words settle into the deepest part of him. He wasn't the wild dog nobody could tame. He was the loyal protector a little girl chose, and who chose her back. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell us, where are you watching from?